Stop scrolling. If you think you've heard all there is about Jeffrey Epstein, think again. This isn't old news. This isn't recycled outrage. What just dropped is far bigger and far more explosive than anything before. Watch till the end, because the last revelation could shake governments, reputations, and powerful circles around the world. On Friday, the United States Department of Justice released over 3 million additional pages of documents, videos, and images tied to the investigation into convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. A release so massive it makes prior disclosures look like a footnote. Subscribe now. This story is still unfolding. This batch isn't small. It's not limited. It is 3.5 million pages, including 2,000 videos and 180,000 images, all part of a transparency effort mandated by law. And almost immediately, the world reacted. But here's the twist. A top Justice Department official says that none of it currently provides grounds for new criminal charges. Even though some of the material contains horrible and disturbing content, subscribe if you're still tracking this. We're just getting started yet. The fallout has already begun, and not just in the United States. Across the globe, pressure is mounting. In the United Kingdom, Lord Peter Mandelson resigned from the Labour Party after documents showed payments linked to Epstein during his political career, a scandal that erupted faster than any public office expected. Stay with us, because resignations are only the beginning. In Slovakia, officials linked to powerful political leadership have stepped down or faced scrutiny after embarrassing connections surfaced. Subscribe if these global tremors matter to you. Because this isn't a local scandal, it's an international quake. But what is it that's actually drawing this much attention? It's not just names of the rich and powerful. It's how those names intersect with power structures, influence, and denial. This newest release includes references to major figures in business, tech, politics, and international leadership. From emails involving Elon Musk and Bill Gates to document mentions with former power brokers and diplomats. Subscribe, because this is where it gets uncomfortable. Critics, including survivors and lawmakers, have condemned the redaction process and the pace of the release. Some argue the Justice Department still isn't fully transparent, potentially violating subpoenas demanding unredacted materials. But the DOJ insists it complied with the law, even as questions swirl about what was hidden and what was intentionally shielded. Subscribe now, because the silence between the lines is where the real story lives. And then there's the photos and evidence now in the public domain, some that are unsettling, disturbing, and potentially embarrassing for high-profile individuals, though not necessarily indictable. Subscribe if you can handle the truth, not just the headlines. Here's where the narrative starts to twist. Some materials show relationships and interactions that continued long after Epstein's 2008 conviction, calling into question the sincerity of public disavowals by some well-known figures. These documents don't prove guilt, but they do raise questions that powerful people would rather avoid. Subscribe, because the next releases could get even more explosive. Across Europe, calls are emerging for cooperation with us, investigators from former royals and politicians whose names appeared repeatedly. But here's the unsettling part. Despite the scale of this dump, the DOJ says no new prosecutions are expected at this moment. That means millions of pages of pictures, emails, videos, and documents, some shocking, some baffling, some deeply personal, might never lead to charges against anyone beyond Epstein and Maxwell. Subscribe now if you're still following. This is the part most people are missing, because here's the real question. Does a release this massive mean transparency or a smokescreen? The files that were made public included some unverified claims, and even the Justice Department acknowledged that some documents might contain sensationalist material submitted by the public. Not verified facts. Subscribe. The implications here go far beyond headlines. So here's the cliffhanger you waited for. If the most explosive files don't lead to prosecutions and the most powerful names slip out with no legal consequences, then what does real accountability even look like? Stay tuned, because the next wave is already coming, and when it drops, you'll want to be the first to know. Subscribe. Watch, because this story is just warming up.